Bob Summerville is the executive director for the ETC Cooperative and has been working full-time on blockchain projects since 2015. He worked on Ethereum and Hyperledger in early years, and followed by a switch to Ethereum Classic and a belated Bitcoin orange piling. He has growing interest in privacy projects. So please welcome Bob Summerville.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Hello. My name's Bob, and thanks very much to the Litecoin Foundation for the invite. We've been collaborating on the Proof of Work Summit for the last year or so, and glad to come here too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things which have been happening primarily in the Bitcoin space, which I think there's a great opportunity there for Litecoin as well. So I'll just talk it through, which is really that, there we go. After years at war, the hard walls between Bitcoin family world and Ethereum family world are starting to fall. And that's really happening because of a renaissance of development that's happening on Bitcoin, with many projects now seeking to build better trust minimized L2s on Bitcoin than has been the case. Many of my talks are about bridge building and really about the fact that your perspective on the world can really influence how you see things. There's a nice little cartoon here about our blessed homeland, our glorious leader, and so on, and the other people are barbarians. Everything that they do must be discarded. So we see a lot of that in the blockchain space. Hopefully not so much moving forward. I don't know how many of you were around in 2017. Remember Kevin Pham, who shared a couple of fantastic memes he'd made there. So I don't think the Bitcoin and Ethereum communities can be any different, with an axe-wielding tone vase and a unicorn swinging Vlad Samphir on the Ethereum side. And here's another classic. Our friend Jameson Lopp and Vitalik in his cat bag. So a lot of this change is really coming about as part of these nascent Bitcoin layer 2s or Bitcoin layering projects, and really interesting data point here of saying 60% of them are looking to use the Ethereum virtual machine as their smart contract platform. So as we have on Ethereum Classic and on Ethereum, the EVM is becoming the standard. It's the de facto standard, really. So, just to go back to basics, well, what is Bitcoin? Electronic cash, is it digital gold? Depends on your view. You've mainly got simple value transfers, but you have a very simple, rather hobbled scripting system. So the ability that you have for more complex systems is very limited. Litecoin, as you know, similar story, but something that's quite interesting on the Litecoin side is that it has been a leading edge for bringing those Bitcoin family technologies into production. So with SegWit and Lightning and MWeb being the prime examples. On the Ethereum side, what is Ethereum? Is it world computer, digital oil, ultrasound money? But generally, what you had with Ethereum was a step on beyond what you had debuting with Bitcoin, because it's programmable. You have a full virtual machine, so any kind of computation can be run on Ethereum, where Bitcoin is perhaps more like a pocket calculator than a smartphone that innovation really was dApps. Obviously, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic had they were a single project for a good while there, and then you had some divergence later. But yeah, in comparison with Bitcoin, the plans for Ethereum 2 have varied all over the place. It's been very complex. The path to proof of stake for Ethereum. So this is a roadmap slide which Vitalik will share occasionally, showing the complexity of what Ethereum is looking to build. And my note is that the top two boxes at the top left there were the merge, which was the transition to proof of stake, and that took 8 years. So there's decades and decades worth of work in the line for Ethereum. Very sharp contrast with intentionally simpler systems. Another key differentiation that you have between Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin and ETC as well, really, is the fixed monetary policy and proof of work. Proof of work has got a 15-year history. It is so simple. It's almost unbelievably simple. And a primary feature is that it is completely objective, meaning that you can go away from the network for decades even, and you can return and you will achieve consensus purely from the consensus mechanism that you have to talk with existing nodes. You're not dependent in any way on any single source of truth, going to a particular miner or having a particular checkpoint thing. You just have something which is completely objective. Also, better distribution of tokens. I'm just going to flip through this now. Yeah, so I mean the split in the road between these two camps really started with the Ethereum launch, or even earlier. I mean the white paper was 2013. The mainnet started in 2015, and part of that really is down to limited programmability. All development on smart contracts really ended up in Ethereum world or in Ethereum related chains. But also, in the block size wars, you had the laser eyes, hyper conservatism, scorched earth, culture defined by influencers and podcasters rather than developers, really, because there was very little development happening. There have been teams in the middle of these worlds for the whole time, Ethereum Classic being a notable one. I put Bitcoin Cash there. Bitcoin Cash did re-enable some opcodes. They have got limited programmability, but who cares? And you have a named 3 project there, which are kind of existing Bitcoin layer 2s in addition to Lightning, which is widely recognized as kind of about the only sort of really, truly legitimate L2 on Bitcoin. But Rootstock and Stacks have had full virtual machines there from 2018. Liquid, again, a little bit of a richer VM than you have on Bitcoin, but not so much. But the issue that you had with these L2s is they haven't been very trust minimized. It's basically a fancy multi-sig for most of these to date. And yeah, just to quickly mention Ethereum Classic. So Ethereum Classic, for anyone who don't know, it's a continuation of the original Ethereum chain. Ethereum actually hard forked away from that as part of the DAO fork that was done to intervene and recover when there was a disaster with this application called the DAO, which was effectively the first smart contract. So you had this real sort of split in the road of, if you have a big disaster thing happen, is it really an immutable ledger where you don't interfere, or is it kind of okay to interfere if it's for the greater good? So that was where you had the split in the road on ETC and Ethereum. So on ETC, you had miners continuing to mine the original chain, and you had a long-living minority chain for the first time. ETC also had fixed monetary policy introduced, so ETC is more, Bitcoin, Litecoin aligned philosophically. Also, ETC is continuing to be mined. It's proof of work forever. How did Bitcoin get hobbled? And the same for Litecoin because of inheriting that code base. Well, it happened in August 2010, and it was done by Satoshi himself. And as Shinobi of Bitcoin Magazine here explains, before he disappeared, Satoshi ripped out 15 opcodes, disabling them entirely and adding a hard limit to how big of a piece of data could be manipulated on the scripting engine stack. It was done because he frankly screwed up and left a number of ways that complicated scripts could be used for denial of service attacks. So you can see there was just a commit with the comment misc changes, which made a massive change to the functionality of the scripting system that you had there. You know, why are things coming back together? Well, it's really because you are having this renaissance. October 2022, John Light did a research paper called Validity Rollups on Bitcoin, where he explored many different ways in which rollup solutions could be deployed on Bitcoin. Rollups being better known in Ethereum world as a means of having a second layer blockchain where a number of transactions would be rolled together into a single transaction which could be applied on the base chain. Ordinals and inscriptions came into the world in January 2023. That was quite a surprise for a lot of people. And effectively what you have there is the ability to have NFTs on Bitcoin. And I was seeing there are ordinals on Litecoin as well. That was kind of accidental as a result of changes that came in as part of Taproot, where it became possible to store large chunks of arbitrary data. That kind of stuff had been around on Bitcoin back in 2013 with Counterparty and so on, but it came back. And shortly afterwards, somebody spotted, well, okay, there's some types of rollups that you could now do using that. Later in the year, we had BitVM. So BitVM is it's basically a means of proving compute which is happening off-chain, on-chain. So it's similar to optimistic rollups. Again, it's a means of having a second layer thing going on and having a challenge game that basically lets people prove the validity of the stuff. So you're not running smart contracts on the layer one, but you are proving that stuff that's happening on the layer two. You know, very rapidly, there are 4 different main contenders here of implementations of this design pattern, which are bringing these layer twos to Bitcoin. Opcat, you may or may not have seen all the social noise around Opcat, which is re-enabling just a single one of those opcodes, which concatenates 2 values together, and you have all this mimetic cat stuff going on. There is an even bolder proposal, which is called the Great Script Restoration, which is proposing to actually reintroduce all of these disabled opcodes back into Bitcoin with a scheme for working out their worst case cost, which is actually really like the gas mechanism that you have in Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So yeah, what is the opportunity here for Litecoin? Well, I think this is the world that we're heading to very shortly, is these two worlds with similar technology stacks. Obviously, I am a large proof of work advocate. I'm sure many other people in this room also feel the same, that proof of stake is not really a comparable thing. But yeah, bottom of the stack, you have money. And on that proof of work side, hard money to me is Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic. A few others smaller, but those are the major parts. Only on Ethereum Classic do you have smart contracts on the layer 1 itself, but you now have these layer 2 starting to appear. So you have ones like Rootstock and Stacks that have been around that are looking to upgrade their bridges and their trust models. And you have a range of new L2s as well. And in the same way as Litecoin, was a testing ground, as Charlie was saying earlier, for SegWit, for Lightning, for Mimblewimble, all of this stuff which is now being built on Bitcoin could be applied in exactly the same way as on Litecoin to have a rich L2 ecosystem on top of Litecoin. So I hope somebody is doing that because that would be great, and similar pattern on the other side. Is the Ethereum virtual machine the end goal? Probably not. RISC-V is another great solution that's been used in many. As I mentioned before, ourselves at the ETC Cooperative and the Litecoin Foundation are jointly holding the second Proof of Work conference this September in Frankfurt, while Oktoberfest is still ongoing. So if you want beer, sausages, and blockchain,